Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Hello there, everybody.
Hi, folks.
Hi.
And doggies. Is that a new picture, Bill?
No.
Huh. It looks different. You got like a bird's eye view on him this time, it looks like.
No, he's always had that.
That's,
Really?
That's
Huh.
the picture. Yep. That's at the vet.
It's an adorable looking doggy. Oh. He's so ugly, he's cute.
Great. So we're at 7, but we're still missing Christy, who I know is around.
She's always around.
Do we have the guest speakers, Tanner?
Yeah, Tanner is in the attendee status.
Okay.
So if we need to, if you want to push him up to the top of the agenda, you can easily do that.
Yeah, I think we should. I see that we have a Kusi speaker. Is that on or not on?
I don't know about that one.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything. I put that on there for Laurel, but never got any confirmation that she talked to the person or that somebody was going to come. So,
Angie, do you have any idea about that one? The Kusi Network Security?
No, ma'am, I do not. I don't have any information about it other than the email that she sent earlier.
Okay. All right, well, as long as you had it as a placeholder, we could always, move Tanner up there to that spot.
yes, which is what I usually do anyway.
Yeah.
And Christy's with us now.
All right, so I did not hear that Laurel was not going to make it. So,
An email about an hour ago.
And she also resigned in the email.
Really?
By virtue of her having been elected to the town council.
And she just couldn't wait until July 1.
tell us how you really feel.
Okay, never mind. Are we being recorded right now?
Oh, yes, we
Okay.
are live on YouTube.
So who's
And
going to
he-
be the minute taker since Laurel's not here? I
Um,
have volunteered Robert, who is standing by. I printed off an agenda so he can take notes on it.
You are my hero.
Yep, I approve of that.
I do too. I do too.
Thank you, sir. You are a gentleman and a scholar. Okay, well, it's 7:02, and I think we've got everybody that's coming. So I will call this meeting to order, and I know Laurel circulated minutes for review. Did everybody receive them?
Yes, and I move that they be approved. I did have a couple of changes.
Okay,
Oh shoot, man. Wait, let me get by the one that were, there we go. What, under where she says new business, under water superintendent report about the laptop purchase, I would have it read, we are looking at buying a laptop for the plant superintendent to use when the water works superintendent will be unable to use a treatment plant computer because of work underway there. Because it's not being demolished, it's because of the work that's gonna be underway in that office.
okay.
I would have it read that way, and I put it in here, and I'll just accept that change, and if you're okay with that. And then the next one is down in financials where it says some of the costs of the water infrastructure project were blah, 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 and I have some of the soft costs of the water infrastructure project were paid by our water utility budget before the USDA loan actually closed. Once the loan closed, the USDA paid the water utility for those soft costs. This amount combined with the savings, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I think that's what, Deb, right? That's what actually happened.
Well, the USDA reimbursed us.
They reimbursed us, but they did not pay the bills that we got from the
That's what
consultant.
Yeah,
That
right.
went into our utility fund, so we can now turn around and use it to spend on
Yes,
distribution.
Yes.
Right.
That's what I made that say.
Okay,
Okay.
I feel like that's accurate.
Okay, and then the last thing is just adding staffing and commission, job description in the old business. Developing a job description. Now Laura is no longer there. So Laurel's no longer there. So Barbara, Barbara's gonna be off on July 1. Are you willing to stick around and come up with something for that?
Oh, wow. For what?
The person to help Chris out because he's gonna go nuts if we don't get someone.
Oh, you mean working on job responsibilities? Well, I am going to be stepping back from public life, but I did commit to working with Laurel on that. So I
I
can.
don't know if Laurel's working on that though. That's what I just want to say. You know, she's heading out, so I don't know if she's still gonna be willing to work on it.
Well, I don't know that that's,
Oh, I did want to say, further up in the water superintendent report, it says on May 12th, 2021, went offline, and she has it that Spanos worked with someone. Now I got to tell you something. She provides a lot of information in here that Robert's not going to do. He's going to do motions. He's going to do Robert's rules of order kind of minutes here.
I will
So
not
if someone wants
complain.
Detail, guess what? They can put it down and send it to him.
Okay,
Go in.
no, that's fine.
So I do have a question though, going back to the laptop designation. I mean, yes, we are in agreement that that is going to be used kind of as a jumping off point when that office becomes compromised, but
It's needed
The way
beyond
you-
that.
To be honest with you, I was planning on using it when I was down in Snowshoe.
Yeah, it's going to be used beyond that. That's the
Okay,
start
well,
of it.
the way I thought I heard you say that, and I might have tuned in a little late, was that it's kind of sounded like it was for that purpose in a rather finite manner. Did I
Yeah,
mishear
well,
what you
that's how
said?
she wrote it. That's how she wrote it. But
Oh.
that I saw that as what started it. But we need it for a lot of other reasons.
Yeah.
I don't, I mean, that for purposes of repairing the minutes to more accurately reflect how it came to be, I think Christie's correct. It's not as
Yes.
demolishing. But the rest of this conversation really, we don't have to have because we're purchasing it. We're not like
Right, exactly.
leasing it for a particular period.
Yes.
So,
Okay.
know, it will be implemented as needed for the rest of its,
Life.
useful life.
Okay.
So I don't, I'm not too concerned about that.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I just misheard what I thought we were going the opposite direction. Okay.
No,
Thanks for pointing that out though, Deb,
And as far as
because I
that,
was confused too.
as
Okay,
far
go
as
ahead.
the person that Chris Spanos worked with to get it working, do you mind if, do you have someone, do you have a name there, Chris, that you want to put in there, or can we just leave it blank?
Chris Spanos, where are you looking at?
Chlorine system. He worked with someone else to get the chlorine system working again.
That sentence can. be reworked.
Dennis chlorination. Dennis chlorination.
So it's Dennis like DENN
Yes, they were.
NIS chlorination
Yeah.
CH
Yep, they were our heroes this time.
chlorination. God, did I spell that right? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Hey.
So we're gonna add that in there. Okay.
Okay. Did you already move that we accept it as amended?
I move that we accept it as amended.
Second, all
Okay.
those in favor?
I think we both said we are.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay,
Could I
I-
move that we adjust the agenda so that Tanner Haid can,
yes, I'm about to do that.
and his report right at the beginning?
Right. I'm going to, since we don't have a network speaker to address our network security concerns that I'm aware of, we'll go ahead and use the chair's report time for Tanner Haid to give his presentation, and we should all have the relevant attachments to what he's going to talk about.
Oh, sorry. Here it comes.
Hi, Tanner.
Give him a sec to get in.
There we go. Hello. Thanks for letting me in, and as always, Bill, for moving me up in the agenda tonight. So I just wanted to, like as we've done the last couple months, just kind of keep the momentum going for this source water communities designation that we've been talking about. You all did a great job with Drinking Water Week. That's one of the standards for that designation. And now what the conversation is moving towards is, what are the 2 projects you all would like to do as a water system, as a community for that designation program? From last month, if you remember, the 2 threads that you all wanted to follow were youth education project with the local Potomac Valley Audubon Society and a septic pumping program. So my goal for tonight was just to give an update on the conversation we had, get everyone back up to speed, and then talk about next steps and where we go from here. So again, those 2 threads, youth education and septic pumping. That first one regarding youth education is we have a meeting scheduled next week, next Tuesday, the 22nd, late in the afternoon with Chris and Christy. We're invited to that from this group, as well as staff from Potomac Valley Audubon Society. They have what they call their watershed program that they're looking to offer, as they have in the past at TA Lowry and Drisswood, which are kind of both in the Elks Run watershed, near kind of in the area of St. Michael's Park. So we're meeting to talk about that program and how we can incorporate, like we did about a year or so ago, I guess it was 2 years ago with them, some elements of drinking water into the watershed program. So that'll be one element of for your all's designation program is that partnership with Potomac Valley Audubon Society. West Virginia Rivers has the funding to contract out with PVAS, the Audubon Society, to lead that program at those schools. But the real connection there is finding ways through Chris and Christy to meet with Audubon Society staff and find ways, again, we can incorporate the water system, Harpers Ferry Waterworks, into those educational elements in one way or another. So that meeting's next week. We'll know more next month on that, but the program would take place this fall. And that's kind of what we have there, unless anyone has any questions on that project.
I don't have any questions on that project. But if you could move your head just a little bit over and turn that fan on behind you, man, it'd be fun.
Things like dog ears is the problem with this one. And it's
That's funny. That's funny.
You guys aren't going to listen to me at all now. You're just going to see the dog ears. But no, it's a shame for how the office is set up. It is always about right there. youth education. So that one is, on a pretty good track. Now, the other conversation that we want to share for you all is the other option, which is a septic pumping project. You all have got several attachments that might have seemed like a lot, and they are a lot, but they're kind of our way of describing just overall what I want to convey is we led a septic pumping project in the Elk Run watershed last year in partnership with the Conservation District and came up with this really great model. And the real unique factor of this model is that West Virginia Rivers has funding, of course. We have about $4,000 in funding for septic pumping, which they're about $300 a piece. So we could do like about 12 septics in the watershed and maybe some outreach postcards. But the real benefit of the model, Chris,
Would this be in your watershed program description PDF or?
this is different than the PVS Youth Education Project.
Well, okay. Well, no. I wasn't looking at that. I was looking at your PVS watershed. Oh, that's the youth as well.
That's Potomac Valley Audubon Society. That's their youth education. That's just the description of their different lessons they do at the schools. So
Okay.
that's one
Okay.
project, and then separately is kind of the septic pumping project. And the thing I want to really convey is that the two things that we found really worked that we can replicate with the Water Commission is that with you all, that is that instead of a cost share program, we found a way that we can pay for the full cost of the septic to be pumped. So it makes it that much more available, especially for perhaps low income people that wouldn't be able to participate even in a cost share program. The other thing that's unique about the pilot project we had done that we'd like to replicate with you all is instead of it being reimbursable, where the landowner has to pay out of pocket and then get reimbursed in the future, is that we found this way for the treatment or the service providers, the septic pumping company, to directly bill what would be the Water Commission using the funds that we have, so that the landowner doesn't have to again try to get reimbursed for money out of pocket. They can directly bill that to the Water Commission, and the Water Commission can pay for it with the funds that we would grant to the Water Commission. So I wanted to convey those two things. When I had met with Barbara last week, we talked through, it took us about 30 minutes, a lot longer than we have today, but we talked through that workflow chart. If you all saw that in your packet agenda, where we kind of lay out how the in one place, how that project flows. I won't be able to kind of click through all the elements of this, but maybe Barbara can answer or provide some input from that conversation. But the key piece here is that it is a partnership. You can see there's kind of different elements of who would be involved, from West Virginia Rivers to the commission, to the targeted landowners, to the septic providers. But in the center of all that is some sort of person with Harpers Ferry, either with staff or the Water Commission or Waterworks or a volunteer, whoever it would be, to kind of be that lead person to coordinate the project. And that is a critical element. So I want to make sure people are seeing that workflow chart. And again, it takes a little while to talk through it. I had a really productive conversation with Barbara. It took us about 30 minutes to kind of go through it here. But the idea is that we develop an agreement between West Virginia Rivers. We grant the money to the Water Commission. You develop a relationship. We have a great relationship with at least one septic provider that we did last year. Dodson's Septic was really on board with this project. They get paid in full, so they have an incentive to participate in the project. And the only thing they do different is they bill the commission instead of billing the individual landowners. And just like the Conservation District did at your all's monthly meetings, you can say, well, we have 4,000 in funding left. We got 6 projects that were completed, and we'll pay Dodson's for those 6 projects out of the grant that we would award the commission from our West Virginia Rivers funding. And so you can kind of, again, I'm trying to be brief because I know you have plenty else on your agenda, but I want to just leave a space to answer any questions you have about this, knowing it takes a little bit longer of a workshop to talk through the full details. But the biggest piece being we would need that project coordinator, someone to kind of serve as the real lead for this on Harpers Ferry's side. Chris, it looked like you had a question a second ago.
I did, but you, no, it was more just, I like the idea. So, no, you answered my question.
And from the landowner's perspective, again, you can see they receive a postcard. We provided a sample of the postcard we used last year. We can edit that however we would want, but they receive a postcard. They follow up with that with us with the Google form. So a really easy online form to apply. And if they're awarded, all they then have to do is that landowner in green is contact the service provider who does the work, bills the water commission, and then the water commission pays out to Dodson's.
That sounds like a win-win, man. I mean,
So it was, and we, last time we targeted 500 residents that were kind of all in close proximity to where the Elks Run and Elks Branch meet. So they're in that concern. I talked with Barbara a good bit about how you all would want to target for Ural's project, if it's the same area. We sent 500 postcards last time and about 20 people signed up.
cool.
Postcard is about 50 cents to send, if that helps, because we would need to, factor in a little bit of outreach funds for a postcard. But all the pieces are here: the Google form, the workflow of how it works, the template emails. It's all really easy to replicate. Again, we would just need to talk really about who on Harper's Ferry side would be able to coordinate that with West Virginia River's support, but who would take that project on, knowing it sounds like you lost one water commission member tonight that resigned for a council seat. Sounds like Barbara might be stepping back soon. So you all have a lot of projects. You all have some transitions happening. Staff, I'm sure, is also really busy, as are the water commission folks or water works folks. So that's, to me, the biggest question, and maybe something you can't answer tonight, but something maybe we could scratch a little bit.
What's involved with that? What's involved with that?
So are you seeing the workflow?
No, I didn't. I don't think did you
It was
send
a
that?
flow chart,
So-
very colorful flow chart with a lot of arrows going up and down and left and right.
When
So-
did we get it?
Okay, so I'm gonna explain about that. You actually got 3 invitations to Zoom tonight. The
Yeah.
second one that you got, the second one,
Second
has
one.
Tanner's attachments
Okay,
came later in the morning or early afternoon.
It would be an ideal project for the administrator position that we're talking about doing, but that is going to be occurring, if it occurs at all, too late, further down the road. And this particular activity could get started now.
What's the name of that? What's the name of it? Because I've got a bunch of things here, but what's the name of it?
Septic
septic
pumping
Okay.
program
All right.
workflow.
All right, I had already downloaded that. Okay. All right, so that person has to deal with,
You can see they're at the center of it. They're not left to their own devices. West Virginia Rivers provides a lot of support, just like we did with the district. But it's someone that really has the time. I don't know what it ended up being last year. One of the district supervisors volunteered to do it. I can assume in the heat of the project, it probably took her 10 hours, maybe 5 to 10 hours per week. And the project, it was short-lived.
oh,
It was short-lived. Maybe, the project in total was maybe 4 to 6 weeks. And that could be an overestimate. Again, I don't know for her.
Well, the
I
good
just want to convey it is some emailing. It is some,
it's tracking, a lot of tracking.
yeah.
The good thing is that the pieces don't have to be reinvented. The postcard,
I think that's fair, Barbara. I think I definitely overestimated, because last year we were building the thing as we went, and now it's totally, all the pieces are there to replicate. So it would definitely be a lot less than what I said there.
and I think the only decision making might be for the water commission would be to determine what characteristics you would want to target for the postcards of the residents that are in the Elks Run watershed. Would it be properties that have homes that have not been pumped out in 10 years, or properties that are clustered in within the zone of critical concern of the watershed, or houses that have been built prior to 1975, say. Do you have that spreadsheet, Tanner?
I don't have the spreadsheet pulled up, but just for the commissioners to see, when we did this last year, this is how we prioritize. There's 8 subdivisions in this area, in total about 500 landowners. And this is who we targeted with our outreach last time. And again, about 20 of these landowners ended up participating in the project. If you can kind of see, I'll zoom in a little bit more on the inset map. All these little red dots are where there are septics in the watershed. So you can see where we targeted, there's a really dense cluster of them in the zone of critical concern. So that's how we targeted, and it was on a first come, first served basis. One thing that I think we might want to consider that we learned from last time is, some of these homes, if they're valued at $400,000 and it's a new home that was built in the last 5 years, are they in need based on their socioeconomics and based off of their water quality needs, based off the age of the system, as opposed to if it's maybe a lower income household and it was, like Barbara mentioned, an older household, like built in the 70s with an older, potentially failing septic system that really needs to be pumped and maybe hasn't in 10, 15 years. So we did it first come, first serve last time. You all might want to say, you might want to be more selective in supporting where there's the greatest need based off of income or housing age. So I just wanted to point that out as well. And I think that's what Barbara is alluding to, is that there are some questions for you all to maybe think through that we don't have to decide tonight, but Barbara is absolutely right that in order to receive this designation program for this year, you would need to do 2 projects this calendar year. The youth education one, I think next week we'll have a pretty clear picture that it'll be able to come through this year. We would need that project coordinator to be able to step up and continue these conversations and be able to coordinate this project to keep you on track for it. So I'm going to stop sharing. Well, wait a second. Does anyone have any questions here? I probably only have about a couple minutes left in my time for tonight. I want to be mindful of your all's.
Can you
meeting.
add any way of adding the actual street names to that?
Not while we're sitting here.
No, not while we're sitting,
Um,
but is it possible to add street names to it?
Possibly if I went back in and edited this map. To the northeast of here, if you can see my cursor, is San Michael's Park.
Uh-huh.
That helps. So like where my cursor is San Michael's Park, and these are properties to the east and south of that.
Yeah, because what I'm thinking is that I'd love to see it so that the ones that were within X number of 1,000 feet or 100, 500 feet of the streams themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, being the ones, because some of these, if they're not that,
Yeah,
close,
right.
they're
So-
going to filter out a bit.
Yeah, you see some of them like they're almost right up against the stream.
Right.
A few of them are, and it's harder to see, but the yellow outside of that is the drinking water protection area that you all have, the zone of critical concern. So
Wow.
So this is who we targeted last time. You all don't have to use this same model. You can select however. I just wanted to give an example of how we, from within the watershed, we're really trying to be targeted with our outreach to have a good impact. So those are the questions you all want to consider is how to target, how to select based off of just first come, first serve, or income, or housing age, maybe the date that they last pumped their septic. And then the biggest thing, of course, is finding that coordinator. So my hope would be that somehow between now and next month, you all can continue those conversations and maybe come to a decision on how you would want to proceed on both of these next month. Because by next month, we'll have a really clear idea of the youth program from our meeting next week. And you all will have some time to think on and come up with some decisions for how to proceed on the septic pumping as well. That would be how I would think if we could get you all coming to a decision in July, that would keep that on track for you. So the real question would be for tonight, is there any questions I can answer tonight now that we've walked you through some of the attachments that you had in the agenda.
I don't have any.
I'm just surprised at how close they are to the stream. That's all.
They're right there. Yeah, there's important work to be done. So
And that, once we have our membrane system in, the nitrates coming off of these places, the septic fields and the agriculture are our biggest concern, just so you know.
mhm.
Our water
Yeah.
quality, our biggest concern.
Well, good. Well, it's not good that there's concerns, but of course, it's good that you all are targeting them and that we're all on the same page about what we can do together. And then the goal would just be to, again, find that way forward. So I definitely encourage everyone to really think on that coordinator position. If there is staff capacity, if there's administrative capacity, there's volunteer capacity from someone. That's the big question here. So Barbara, is there anything I'm missing before I sign off? And
I think you hit everything.
okay. And again, we'll talk youth education with a few folks next week. Keep all these things moving, and try to come back in July to talk more.
Yeah, I think you said, but it helps to reinforce it. It's got to be done by the end of this year.
Mhm. And we're here to support as always, but we can't go it alone. I think that would run counterproductive to what we're trying to build with you all. So we can do it together, and we'll keep thinking on it. Anything else? I think I took even more time than I needed to, or than I meant to. So thank you all.
Thanks, Tanner. That was awesome. That was awesome. You're amazing how fast you get this stuff done, man.
Awesome. Thank you all, and Bill, we'll turn the meeting back over and appreciate again the time tonight.
Thanks, Tanner. We always appreciate you. All right. Okay, Angie, are you ready to present your report?
Yes, sir, I am. For shutoffs this month, I was surprised that we actually had 6 shutoffs. That is a lot for us. However, in the last 24 hours, 3 paid and have been turned back on. There are another 3 that are still currently off. 2 of which I am not 100% convinced are occupied, but there is one that I know that is occupied. So I'm hoping that they will reach out to me to see if maybe we can assist them in any way of getting their services restored.
How can we double check? Is it necessary to double check on the 2 that may be unoccupied?
We can do that. I mean, I can ask the guys. They have been extremely helpful. When I ask them, they look for vehicles that might be in the driveway, or they look for evidence of someone that maybe has moved out, like a lot of curbside trash, that sort of thing.
But
So I certainly can ask them about that.
But we would know the owners of the property. Could they be contacted and advised of the problem?
Well, let me think. I'm thinking. My understanding is, as far as the Public Service Commission rules and regulations, is that we are sort of, we have to go by what they refer to as the customer of service. Most often than not, the landlord is already sort of aware of the situation that's going on. But I am not allowed to discuss the financials of a particular service,
That's a
because
big-
they are not the customer of service.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
That's a big no-no.
Yes. I did have one customer that did reach out to me today. They were able to make the payment and get turned back on, but they have actually reached out to a relatively new assistance program. It's, oh geez, I don't have it in front of me, but it's Mountaineer rental assistance, I believe. I forget the entire
We
name.
got an email. We got an email on that.
Yes, I've sent that out a couple of times, and I would really, really like to have that perhaps 1 month when we're able as an insert, to let people know that it's out there. I think that more people would certainly apply if they knew that it was available.
Well, we'll be talking about inserts later on, and
Mm-hmm.
one potential that we're going to put in this month. I
Yes.
wonder if it would be okay to delay the Mountaineer rental assistance for another month.
I mean, that's certainly that's up to the Water Commission to do so. I know that the one insert that we're getting ready to discuss is urgent
Yeah,
as well.
yeah. Okay.
So any other questions about the terminations? So the next, I guess, thing is the next thing on the agenda is for the next billing insert. And I believe you have something, Barb?
Well, we had discussed at the last meeting that the next
Mhm.
billing insert would be the notice of vacancy for Bolivar residents. I haven't heard from Sandy Mara as to whether they've gotten any response yet. We thank you for putting it on the bill this month in red letters that
Mhm.
there is a vacancy. I need to reach out to Sandy Mara and the mayor and Detmer and find out if they've gotten any response and what their deadline is going to be for applications.
Yeah, I'm surprised we haven't heard from them yet.
Yeah, I was wondering that too.
Yeah.
Wait.
So,
We have a little problem. We don't have enough people on this commission now.
No, we're essentially unauthorized. We're supposed to have a minimum of 3, correct?
well, you still have 3. I mean, Laurel is resigning as of the end of this month, isn't she?
That's what it says.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
That's what
According to her
the
email.
letter says.
At the end
Yeah.
of this month. So
So
you're
we're fine until we have to get at least one more member after the end of the month, before our next meeting.
okay. I'll contact Sandy tonight and tomorrow and see what's up with their
Well,
application.
it also takes a little while for these things to actually occur. So, I mean, it's like, not like it's instant the minute they give us a name. The
Yeah,
council-
'cause the town council has to be-
The council and all that stuff. So
and the first town council meeting of the new administration is,
July 12th.
okay, so,
but Bolivar meets before then. They meet on the week before, I think, on the
Right, but what I'm saying is that all this takes time, and I don't see us fulfilling it before July 12th.
Well, you could conceivably, if they are working on some and they approve some in their meeting the first week of July,
Uh-huh.
you could, if you found that out and knew that that's what they were doing, you could conceivably set it up for the 12th meeting. You
Yeah.
might have to have a little special meeting the week of the 5th to,
we could do something, yeah.
yeah.
It's theoretically possible, but we may be having our July meeting a little later than normal in that event. So,
Well,
yeah.
we will likely need a special meeting in July if we want to get the 8-inch water line contractor on.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
that's further down the agenda, so we need to talk about that too.
Yep. Okay. Anyway, back to,
Billing.
Okay, so we definitely are putting in the notice about the
Bolivar,
Bolivar seat.
yes.
Next billing. Okay.
Barbara, would you like for me to email everyone the deadline that I would need in order to have it for the insert for the billing.
Okay, Sandy had sent me a copy of what the Bolivar folks, drafted for information purposes, so we can use it. So I'll just need to know let us know what your deadline is for the insert.
Okay.
Okay.
Does it make sense to also say that we need one for Harper's Ferry?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Well, we could up to 3.
Yeah.
So I think the more the merrier for
Yeah.
deliberative body like this.
Yeah.
But our hottest lead on a new member is Bolivar right now, I guess. Okay. Old business. I don't know where we are on wrapping up the NPS meter and billing issue. Can you give us an update?
I can. We are, I don't want to say not anywhere close, but we certainly have quite a bit more work to do as far as the NPS is concerned. Laurel assisted me in taking several of the largest bills that were of concern and going through and making sure of their accuracy. So I think the next concern is going to have to be to address the meters as far as they are in my billing system, whether the billing system has them as the correct meter size. That's going to be the next step that we discussed. There were several steps that we discussed in making sure that all of this happens before we can say that the National Park Service is 100% done, accurate. This is the next step. And so I will be working with my operators. We're actually going to start reading meters tomorrow. And so working with them for this week, next week, however long it takes to converse with them and make sure that it meets what's within the system, is accurate to what's in the ground.
Yeah, we've spent several weeks on taking pictures and making sure that the meters are indeed going to the right customer and the right size.
Yeah. So now we just
Have a
need to
file.
make sure that
Yeah.
information coordinates with what's in the billing system.
Mhm.
And then we'll move on to the next phase of making sure that the billing is accurate. Because I mean, it's a lot. Everything that we are finding now, from my understanding and from what I've been told, has been a very long time issue. It's not something, it's like someone told me one time, you can't, it didn't take you a week to gain 20 pounds, so you can't lose 20 pounds in a week. It happened over a long period of time, so it's going to take us a little while to get it fixed, but I am confident that we are going to get it fixed. And
Love
it's not
that
going to take
analogy.
too long, just a
Yeah,
Love
yeah,
that.
little.
it's actually starting tomorrow. One of the things, as far as checking out the inactive and active accounts, for example, is so we're
That
going
is
to be
true.
we're going to be reading all
Yes.
meters, inactive and active, make sure that all the ones that are supposed to be off are off,
Mhm.
and they all have
And all the ones that are supposed to be on are on.
It'll take them a little longer to read, but we're actually starting early, so we have time to do this.
Okay, so this is no longer we've expanded beyond the National Park Service discussion here, correct?
Well, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there anything else we need to do that you need from us regarding action we need to take for the National Park Service issue?
I do not think so at this time.
Are you saying that all of the charges have been corrected and so forth for the Park Service?
Not all of them.
Oh.
The main concerns, the larger bills that we had when we looked at them and was like, oh my gosh, those have been addressed and corrected. And when I look at the dollar value, the next largest thing is the meter sizes, because there is a very large difference between, say, what a 2-inch meter costs and what a 3-inch
3-inch
costs.
meter cost, exactly.
Yeah, a big $300 difference. So that's the next thing. And then I will move into what I'm personally, not officially, but personally referring to as the third phase. And it's the ones that are just like less than $100 off. And because that's just, I took it as what is the most critical going, and you got to take, you eat a shark one bite at a time, right? So, or a whale, as some people say. And that's kind of
An
what this
elephant, one bite at a
is.
time.
An elephant. Yeah.
It's an elephant. It's an
A
elephant.
big animal.
I don't eat sharks
So-
at all. We have an arrangement. I don't eat them. They don't eat me. Uh,
But you know what I mean. You get what I'm saying. So we're getting there. We're not there, but we're
Okay.
getting there, and we are actively moving forward.
Okay, I know that Laurel was helping with some of that. Is she still engaged, or do you require her input any further? Okay.
No.
Okay.
No.
The other question I had, maybe a Chris question. We had an issue with a meter where the meter that was being read was outside, but the meter that needed to be read was inside. Have we sorted that?
Yes, that 67 Matter Training Center, and that meter is indeed inside. The one that he is referring to was Cook Hall, which is actually right next door. That's a 1-inch meter. So yes, that has been taken care of.
Okay, because there was some confusion about what was supposed to be read and what was being read.
Yeah, I saw the picture that Laurel was showing me, and it was a picture of the Cook Hall meter. You know what Cook Hall is too, Angie, right?
So
Cook
Yeah.
Hall, yeah,
So Cook Hall is a different
right
building
next.
than
yeah,
what's the inside meter.
It's a building right next to it, and their meter literally sits outside the 67 Matter Training Center, or what's the name of the building? What do you call it?
It's Mather Training Center.
Yeah, but there's a name for it, Design Arts or something like that.
Another-
But anyway, it's inside in a closet all the way downstairs. It's an impossibility for it to be, it's all by itself in a closet in a basement. And it's just one unit with 2 registers attached to a 3-inch meter.
So the meter that was outside went to Cook Building, and the meter
Yes.
that was inside went to Mather Training.
Yes. And I'm still, I think, I don't want to say, I think she was a little confused on where Sean was actually reading that, because it's an impossible. If I showed you where it's at, you would see it's an actual impossibility to have the two confused. There's not There's not, oh,
Okay, but it was her understanding that Sean was reading the one instead of the ones inside based on her conversation with him.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
going
it's,
somewhere as to which meter's which and where they're located.
yeah.
When,
Yeah,
when you say she, could you clarify as to which she? Are
Laurel.
you talking about me or
Laurel,
Laurel?
Laurel.
Oh,
Laurel.
okay. Thank
Yeah,
you.
you know where they're at.
Okay.
You,
I
yeah.
just
you know,
needed
you-
clarification.
yeah,
Thank you.
the compound meter's being read correctly.
Okay, that was the
Yes.
question.
Yes.
Okay. New business, we sort of dipped into the broader issues of billing and reading discrepancies. Some of, Deb,
Yeah, I'm sorry. Before we go on with that, the other side of all of that billing piece is the customer themselves. Andy, you and I have talked kind of high level on this, but they've received these bills and the corrections to them now?
Yes.
Okay, and have we gotten any feedback from them, or is there anything else that we need to do there to keep that relationship moving forward?
That is actually taken a step today, as a matter of fact. When I bill the National Park Service, they requested that one bill, the Mather Training Center, be submitted to one person. And then the other 29 meters that we read are billed to another person on an invoice. So it appears that the Mather Training Center, they paid the sewer portion of last month's bill, but they felt that maybe there was a leak in the building. And so they were going to forward this information onto their maintenance, and they wanted them to have an opportunity to look for any leaks. And so I emailed her this morning, as a matter of fact, and I was like, well, sewer received their money. We haven't received ours. So have you heard anything from maintenance? And her response to me back was, and I'm paraphrasing, I'll get back to you. So that's that. So as far as the invoice that contains the other 29, it was, kind of reversed. And so I have reached out to that counterpart, and she said that on her end, it looks like both water and sewer have been paid, but we haven't received our money yet, water. And so she said that she's going to look into it first thing in the morning. It was late in the day. She said, I'm going to look into it first thing in the morning, and she's going to give me a call. So again, it's something that is in progress. It hasn't ceased or stagnated. We're moving forward. It's just, these cogs, they move slowly, especially
Great.
with the federal government. But
Okay,
we're
that's helpful.
going to get
Yeah.
it straight. I'm
I just wanted
confident.
us to be able to
Mhm.
offer assistance if needed. So it sounds like it's moving along. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
okay. We're moving on to what we kind of already started talking about a little bit. We've inherited quite a few of long-standing meter reading, meter problems, billing problems, et cetera, that have accumulated over time. And what we're finding is that some of these things really could be resolved with, how do I put this? Sort of regular auditing and good standard practices that I assume are pretty standard in the industry, which we don't really do. And one of those came to light with 71 Spruce Street, which ultimately was resolved because the ghost account was found. But there was a significant amount of confusion between when the problem presented itself with a over $10,000 bill and when it was actually found. on the system to be an improperly recorded ghost account. And part of my concern is that in light of the NPS meters and that problem, and in light of how we're trying very hard to improve our practices, in particular because half of our renovation project is completely revenue driven. We're dependent upon that revenue, so we can't afford to be, bleeding any through these kinds of problems. None of that came to light to the Water Commission, to the people that have to interface with the town council, and
We didn't have enough data at the time. Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm still talking. And so I understand that there are some pieces being put in place now to help resolve that. What I'd like to see is for us to try to be more proactive and less reactive. And for those who've been around for a long time, some of these problems may be, you may be aware of them, but have forgotten about them or something, those kinds of things. We really need to push very hard to get these things out in the open and resolved and out of our system before we get too far along in either of the two projects that we're running side by side. And I understand that a radio read program is going to make these kinds of monitoring, auditing, and securing our accuracy much easier. But in between now and then is an unspecified amount of time, because it's going to be expensive to do that, and we have a lot of decisions to make. So it would be good to have our house completely in order prior to ripping it all apart to put in a new system. Does that make sense?
I completely agree with that. And again, tomorrow is the start of ensuring that with it's just a simple checking every single meter and making sure every account is inactive is off and every account that's active is on. And this should help purge any accounts that we have that are possibly astray, So I really don't think we're going to find much of anything. We may, but that's why you purge a system,
Well,
So.
and it would seem that these kinds of audits would be
They are.
practice.
Yeah, and we do have practices where we check things, like, for example, we'll check meters that are supposed to be off over a period of time, but it's all been short term, and I'm doing stuff that's more on a long-term basis. So I'm getting more involved and back. And this is partly my fault, because I've been involved in a lot of projects this last year, and I'm focusing more of my efforts on the meter reading and accounting now. So I'm devoting more time to it, and we're working on it. So.
Barbara?
Yeah, in light of what we're talking about here, and maybe it'll come up in the water superintendent's report, when you're doing this audit for account information, et cetera, will you be taking note, and maybe this is part of it and it's just I misunderstood, of broken meters and how many, and
Yeah,
how
yeah.
many are going to be fixed and all that?
Yeah, they'll see. Yeah, they'll see, and work orders. Work orders are generally what happens on that, and we fix a lot of stuff that you guys don't really see, because we're constantly fixing the system. A system like ours that's old, is if you saw how much stuff that we're actually maintaining as we go along, you would be impressed. It's so we're always purging. It just this one we're doing a little deeper purging, if you want to say.
But I just wanted to make sure it would capture all the
It should.
or broken and how many.
Yeah, there isn't anything that it should miss. It should catch every single meter that we have in the system.
Yeah.
So I think what I hear you saying is that in this cycle of meter reading, you're going to not only be doing your normal meter reading, but you're also going to be checking for meters that every single meter to be sure that things that are off are supposed to be off and things that are on that are supposed to be on, and verifying reads
Yes.
on things. Okay. And so, and it sounds like what you're saying is you're going to implement some type of an auditing procedure with regard to that. So do you have an interval that you're going to do this on a regular basis?
Yes, yes, I do. I'm planning on doing it every 6 months for this, and we have another report where we're working on this report. It has a few flawed accounts that we got to look at before I hand it out to the guys. We're actually reviewing it, but there's also another report that just strictly checks on meters that are supposed to be off. So that report is going to be ran every quarter. I've marked it on my calendar. And the other one starting, so it works out, it's June. So the next time it's going to happen again will be December.
So for the 6 month one will be
6
December.
months.
So
yes.
that means that then in next month's report from you or someone, whoever is the appropriate one, then we'll get the Water Commission will get some kind of
Yes.
feedback as to what the results of that.
Yeah, we
Audit
most
are. Right.
we most definitely should have, yeah, we most
And then
definitely
they should
have something.
expect that again in October.
Yeah, that
Because,
sounds perfect.
Okay. That's
Sounds
what I wanted to understand. How is everybody going to learn about what you've done so that, yeah. Okay, thank you.
Right, yeah, and you know, we're also learning Koozie too. You know, I think Angie's had the most amount of time with Koozie. You know, this and the 10 years I've been here, we've been through how many clerks? Like 4 clerks, and so this is the first. It is 4, right? So this is the first time that we've had somebody here that's been, you know, developing a better understanding. And so anyway, I really think we're going in the right direction.
So we discussed this a few months ago, Angie. I don't know if you sent them this month or not. I'm not always great at getting my email. Monthly reports on whether there are any estimates, monthly reports on zero reads, so that we can, you know, kind of flip through and get at this meeting. So we have the opportunity to kind of look through the sheets and see what's happened. You know, anything that's estimated, anything that's been adjusted, and anything that's a zero read, that will help us also understand how, you know, where these problems come from, how they happen, and what information is required. And that might make our questions easier to field, because we'll be more, you know, we'll have more eyes on that data as well. In the hopes that eventually none of that will be necessary, because the system will be much more automated. But kind of like in accounting, you know, they teach you how to do it with a pen and paper first. It's kind of good for us to learn, you know, and to kind of be one more layer of overwatch on those things as to how things are getting processed and where the problems are occurring. Does that make sense? Okay.
Yep. Mhm.
Not
Yeah,
that
I
want
can,
to do any
I
more
can supply
reports.
you all. I'm sorry if I should have supplied you all with that information. I did not, because I obviously didn't understand your request,
That's
but
okay.
I can do that. I mean,
that
that's a
was-
lot of
That's a lot of reports.
information
Yeah.
I know.
But it can be done.
I'm not asking you to have it all summarized for me. I'm just, I just want
Just
to
the numbers.
have the opportunity to look at it. And if I don't look at it, that's on me.
Okay,
Yeah, she's,
I can do that.
Christy has her hand up.
Yep.
Yeah, is there gonna be any action on this? Otherwise, Robert doesn't have, right, he's not gonna be writing anything on this. Unless you want something written on it.
No motions have been made,
Mm.
so no.
Where are we on the agenda now?
We're about to start the water superintendent report.
Okay, that's what I
Okay.
heard. That's what I hoped.
all right. The water loss for this month of May was 12.88%. I'm very pleased with our loss lately. However, until we get the new magnetic meter or magnometer, master meter up and running, I can't guarantee the accuracy, you know, and this is what we have to work with right now. We only had to run the plant 9 hours per day this month compared to 12 hours a day in 2019. 2020 was 11 hours, but that was the year all pools were shut down and businesses were shut down as well. You know, so that's basically 93 hours. I didn't have to produce water as opposed to 2019. Or, you know, so there's significant gains here as far as we're not having to produce near as much water, run the plant as long. The overtime is considerably down. Construction was focused on replacing broken meters. We had no leaks this month that we saw. Said basin sludge was completely removed from the site. So the said basin is gone. It took 14 loads, 1 hour turnaround time. And Sean and Kenny were a big part of that. Radio read progress. The master meter rep, his entire team came out, did an excellent presentation. They impressed me with their professionalism. We have been working on getting more vendors Camstruck. After that, we're ready to go to the next level of this process, making recommendations based on criteria we determined to be the most important, including finance, best service provider, training, installation, quality of the product. You know, there's so much to this. Me and Bill have been talking a lot, Christy and I and Deb, and, you know, there's just, when we started this journey, I had no idea how extensive this part of our projects that we've been doing is going to be, but it's going to be one of the most important projects that we got, you know, because it's our counting system. And, you know, things like what we're talking about just 2 seconds ago, hopefully will be non-existent when we get something like this up and running, and provide a much better service for our customers. Painting the fire hydrants. I want to select a color. You guys have a, I sent out a color swab. It's very simple. It's red, yellow, dark navy blue. There's safety colors. There'll also be for reflective coating. So you'll be able to see them at night.
Could I ask
Go
you a
ahead.
question? Are there colors related to the type of hydrant? Like
The type of hydrant, I was talking to Bill, I think I was talking to Christy about it. So you're referring to the flow, to the gallons per minute for each fire hydrant. For example, I believe orange, I think is 500 to 1,000 gallons. There's color wheels or color plates that I can purchase, that you actually put on the fire hydrant itself, that you just put it on where the caps go on, and you just screw them on. And I prefer that way better. So we keep all the fire hydrants the same. In bigger cities, I can see where they have, more money to have selections of different color paints and stuff like that. I can see where that's
In the
maybe
old days,
useful.
fire hydrants were red, but now there's different colors, and I thought it pertained to the type of hydrant.
No,
It
what
does.
it,
It does, and let's save that for when he's done with his general report.
okay, yeah, there's a lot to fire hydrants. We can, yeah, okay. And we'll start with the hydrants on Main Street. There's approximately 12. I think it's a great test. I'm having my team instructed on how to prep the paint by the hydrants. I've been using Sherwin-Williams at the moment. I've used them in the past for hydrants or needs at the plant. They just have great instruction. And of course, I have other vendors as well. I've been doing research with to see exactly what type of paint that I want to use. And that can get kind of technical too. We had an incident with the old account that turned out to be caused by a duplicate address put in years ago by a previous water clerk.
Chris, we've already covered that.
Okay. Top priority, sludge removal for the two backwash pits. I'm in the process of having workable solution to this project approved. In the meantime, my team is relentlessly working on removing the sludge with our original process and daily. I know more than I need to know about sludge, or I ever thought I was going to need. I'm knee deep in sludge every day. I'm literally standing on the ledge trying to shake this stuff loose out of the tubes. It's so thick, but we're getting it. Right now, we're just trying to create a hole in one side so they can get accurate measurements on the pipes, the fittings. All they need is the fittings for now. I have several vendors that manufacturers reached out to me today that are giving me different solutions to work with. I had Waste Management come in here today. And we're also talking to stuff as well. Alvarez is also working with me on this project too. So right now we're still using Oscar. Oscar is pumping away slowly but surely. So that's all I have.
Okay. You've already kind of updated us on the radio read. We did have a good meeting with Master Meter. They one of the things that stood out to me is they sent their manufacturer representative accompanied the vendor, which was pretty significant. But we're starting to see just how varied this field is, and in order for us to make a good decision, we've got a lot to look at.
Are they able to be compared on some kind of common analysis?
Yeah.
Yes. But what where we're at now is, their technological offering is one layer of analysis. What can the stuff that they have shown us that they provide, what can it do?
Mhm.
And what are our options for how to read them, and what kind of accuracy do they provide? All of that sort of performance metrics for us to look at.
Installation, they've been offering installation packages.
But before we get to that point, what I'm trying to do is trying to get them to give us sort of a like for like comparison of the package. So far, the package that we're kind of aiming at is a fixed base radio read where we don't have to drive around, replacing all of the meters, including the larger meters. And what does that cost? And if they put it in for us, like if it's all done as a package, what's that going to cost? What are the financing options? And if we can get them to sort of put that together for us, then we have a roughly like for like package that we can beat them all over the head with to give us good numbers. So, and we can make good decisions. There's a lot of similarity in the accuracy and the pricing of the individual meters themselves. Are all kind of in the same ballpark. There's a lot of similarity there, but and then on top of that, there's what kind of service can we get? How do we feel about the service of the people we've met? But also, what kind of service package are they willing to give us, and what kind of incentives are they willing to put into the deal? It's a lot like, in some ways, this is a lot like a software licensing or a software purchase for long-term use, where your negotiating points include things like training and software support and all of that kind of stuff. So there are a lot of moving parts, but the master meter guys were very good at sort of contemplating that, and they started to assemble a package for us and what it might look like, so we could have some rough numbers to start making decisions from and comparisons from.
Cam Struck is coming in too. They're doing a comparison as well.
Christy has her hand up.
One thing that's real important to me is trusting the information that we get from these people. And I asked a question at the last presentation, and I don't think I got the correct answer. So I'm not real thrilled by getting an answer that I don't believe was a correct answer for something that's fairly important. I also would like to point out that one of the reasons for having, instead of having a drive-by, Chris Steyer told me that is, if you have it antenna based or whatever you want to call it, then you have the ability of the customer to get a lot more information at all times. And I think that's the important thing that I think, Bill, you were saying you wanted. So yeah. I would, every time because that costs more. Every time you talk about that, I would throw in that serves the customer better.
Yes.
Yeah. It also alerts us to leaks, and yes, it does a lot of things.
The idea behind what she's talking about is the customer portal.
Yes.
Which allows a homeowner to get a login, one of our customers to get a login and see in real time their usage statistics. And some of these customer portals allow them to request shutoffs for vacations and things like that. So there's a lot of usefulness and information for the customer there. But the reason I think it's important for us to consider, and it is expensive, so everything has to be weighed on price and everything else, but it redefines our relationship with the customer. It makes them a part of their own water usage and billing analysis, and it virtually eliminates that having to trust us that the leak is on their side, or what it will do, I think, in the long term, is it will, once we realize the revenue benefits of having much more accurate meters, customers will start to figure out ways with all this extra data to be more conservation minded about their own water, and those revenues will start to go back down. But we will be a leader in conservation. So it gives us a much different and a much richer customer relationship. And at a time where we've raised rates, where, got all this disruption, with the renovation, it gives them something that they can really interact with and feel like they've received an upgraded experience for their additional rate dollars. It will be meaningful in their home, as opposed to just taking our word for it that the pipes are better and that the water quality is better and all of that. Anyway, so yeah, that component I think is important, but you know, it's ultimately that'll get weighed with every other factor that we have to weigh.
Okay.
All right. Anything else on that? Probably more.
You did just one little quick thing. So one of the vendors talks about what it can do with the customer portal. If we go with the customer portal, burst alerts. Their system has a burst alert. So that if a meter is spinning at 10 gallons a minute for more than a half an hour, it will alert our system so that we can notify the customer that they have a busted line or a potential problem at their household. So we can immediately address the situation. And that's pretty neat. So, you know, emergencies like that can be as opposed to, you know, not where some houses may go an entire month before we actually read it. And
There's nobody in it.
yeah.
Barbara?
Yeah, one quick question and then we can move on to the next item. How many providers have you all looked at already?
3.
4. Well, I'm now 4
We've got a 4th one coming.
coming up. Yeah, coming up.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And the 4th one is coming, I want to say tail end of the first week of July or beginning.
July 8th.
Right. So, anything else? All right. Laurel's not here and she's the one that had a lot of things to say about the laptop. Is there anything further we need to talk about on the laptop, or are we still tabling that?
Can we purchase it?
Why would we table it?
Well, we bumped it, so
We bumped it to this week, though, this
Right.
month.
We bumped it to-
is there any additional information for us to discuss?
I mean, I think that Laurel had sent an email that seemed to concur with our.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so are we ready for a motion then?
I believe so. I move that we purchased the laptop that was agreed upon by Deb and Chris.
That's vague.
Okay.
That is vague.
This is the Advantage
Yeah.
laptop.
Yeah.
I move that we recommend to the town council the purchase of a laptop pursuant to the estimate received from Advantage, not to exceed how
I
many
think it was
dollars?
11. Was it 1,100?
Yep, let me get the number. Was it 1,100?
Yeah, it was 11. Yeah, that was so long ago, so many moons ago. We'll have to, let me see if I can help you. Well, was that Amy? Was that Amy, the one that helped us?
No.
I
And
thought Ann, that's right.
I think it came from Tyler.
No, it actually came from Ann. It came from Ann, I thought.
Okay.
Ann Winters.
Mhm.
Quote. Here's the quote. Quote. Come on, I got it. Just open up. Open. Okay, $1,175.55.
Not to
I
exceed
had 1,200 in my head, so.
Yeah, not to exceed $1,200.
So Bill, you making a motion to approve to recommend the purchase of the Advantage laptop?
As
Not
as
to
set
exceed-
forth on the estimate received from Advantage, inclusive of software and service and setup for an amount not to exceed $1,200.
Okay.
Good.
Yeah, hold on until I get the motion written down here.
Okay.
Where is it? Where are you putting it? Oh,
Found it here.
this one? Not
Go,
good.
Robert. Go, Robert.
Yeah.
Hey, Robert,
Yeah.
I
No.
hear you, Robert.
Hey,
Hey,
Bill,
babe.
Yeah.
Bill, what I want you to do is I'm gonna sit here and I'm gonna record what you say. So you just, right now, start saying your motion.
I move that we recommend to the town council the purchase of a laptop computer as set forth on the estimate received from Advantage, inclusive of sales or of service and setup
And
for an
software.
amount not to exceed $1,200.
Setup includes software?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, thank you. Yeah, I'll get it for you.
Okay, moving right along.
Well, wait, you didn't prove it.
Oh, yeah, I guess we have to,
Chris, you're muted.
do you second?
I second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
That's funny. That's funny.
So, new business, discussion and
Thank you,
action
guys. Thank you, by the way.
on hydrant painting issue.
Do we have to act on that?
I don't know if we do or we don't.
Well, it doesn't exceed $500 at the moment. The purchases that I'm doing are that's why I'm doing 12 fire hydrants at a time. You know, because to be so I really want to experiment. The main fire hydrants I got going down the main road. I really wanted them to look nice, and I was talking about doing a couple coats, but I'm working on something that if it takes a couple days to do it per hydrant, where they can put the first primer down the first day, and then the second coat, and then apply the third coat within the second or third day. It sounds like I should be able to get a pretty decent looking fire hydrant for a relatively decent price.
If it's an epoxy based or a elastomeric compound based paint, you may have to do it all at once or you lose the.
Yeah, we talked about epoxies, and it was too much trouble. That one was just a little too much time consuming for what the guys have. I couldn't dedicate a 5-day process that they wanted to do. And anyway.
Okay. Have you spoken with the chief of our fire department regarding what they expect, what would be helpful to them, that sort of thing?
No. I was planning on talking to them too, and seeing what they have.
Have you looked at the National Fire Prevention Association, the people that promulgate standards for fire equipment? They have rules about how these things are supposed to be handled.
I've looked at, in the past, there are several different rules, and if you look at OSHA, I'll do whatever, I'll look at that one, but no, I haven't.
So the NFPA, OSHA, and the American Water Works Association all have guidelines for hydrant painting, and for the most part, they agree on color schema. There's some differences in how to indicate pressure at a particular hydrant. If it's, some of the guidelines will have you stencil on the hydrant if it's over a certain amount and that sort of thing. And then these are all voluntary standards. except that many jurisdictions will incorporate these standards into local ordinances.
Yeah.
or
So,
local So what I think we need to do in order to get this, to be sure we're getting this right, is do a quick check of whether or not Jefferson County. I assume we know that there's no. I mean, I looked at Harpers Ferry ordinances and I couldn't.
no, we don't. We don't. Yeah, I'll check, but
And the county
yeah.
may have something. I'm not aware of it. Odds are probably not.
No, yeah,
Would the state National Fire Code and the state fire code have the standards? They do.
Yeah.
It's possible, and so and I recognize that there's probably not going to be a lot of repercussion if we paint them all whatever color we want. But if
I mean, for example, Baltimore paints faces on them. You know what I'm
We could
saying?
put little alternate Union soldiers with
Yeah.
Confederate soldiers.
I know, but yeah, so they're really, it's as long as you have, a pressure test, like I said, you can put a plate. This is what I was planning on doing. I did it at Berkeley County or and it's just one method. But I was planning on, I have to purchase new flow equipment because mine is broken, but it's a flow test meter for a fire hydrant. In October, I plan on flushing the hydrants like I do yearly. Then I'm going to run a flow test then, and I was planning on putting my color wheels on the hydrants according to pressure tests to the OSHA standards, their standards. But I was going to paint all the hydrants the same.
Right. So the NFPA standards recommend that it be a high visibility reflective type paint. And generally for hydrants on a public system, it would be the chrome yellow, that bright.
I know.
color.
I know. I was hoping. It's up to us, and my favorite color is blue. There's red, and of course there's the yellow, and I know Christy's probably going to go for the yellow. Sounds like you're going to go for the yellow.
No, I like that blue. I like that blue myself.
I mean, if I put reflective properties in there, we should be fine. We also put flags on our fire hydrants. I'm going to reissue flags for each fire hydrant, which also has the reflective material and it's also designed in case there's a snow, you can see them so they don't get buried by the snow plows.
So, I mean, that's why I thought maybe we would discuss and maybe have action on it, because I'm not sure that, whether we want to adopt sort of what is an industry standard, or if we just want to color them whatever color we want.
I would really prefer to color them blue. I think it's a beautiful color. I think the town, it would look great going down Main Street. I think utilizing putting the wheel on there and color coding the orange and the OSHA color standards for the fire hydrant. If I run it by the police chief or the fire chief and see if he has any issues with that. And if he's okay with it, I don't see a problem with doing it. But I would run it by him first and then get back with you guys. I was hoping that I could do it in the next, month or two. But if I can't, I can't.
Anybody have any thoughts on that?
What time is it? 8:31. I personally would not like to spend a whole lot of time on this. I like the color blue. I think it will blend in a little better, but still be visible than the red or the orange or the yellow or whatever. I just think, it's new and different. People might actually see the fire hydrants and not park against them.
And it's the Union blue.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
I have my hand up. The paint is expensive. It's not like going and buying a gallon of paint for your wall. So I think we need a really clear plan that's been vetted. So I think it's very possible to start moving forward with an experimental basis in the next 2 months. But I feel like at the next meeting, if you can bring forth what you've learned by talking to the fire chief and making sure we're not causing any issues there, and that you've vetted the color and you've vetted how you do it, you have an exact plan of what you're going to do and how you're going to use this paint.
Yeah,
I think we can then make a motion, but I don't feel like there's a plan.
Does the fire,
yeah, I, to be honest with you,
does the fire chief have a map of all the hydrants?
I believe he does. I have a list of every fire hydrant that we have in the
No, are they
order.
mapped? Are they mapped? Because I think that's probably more important to the fire department than having them a particular color, because they're gonna be looking for these puppies. And if they've got a map and know there's one in this block, then they're gonna be looking for it in that block.
I was just planning on painting my fire hydrants first, but I can map them as well, Christie.
Well, and I know it'd be easy to map because you've already got it, but I just want to know if the fire department has that map.
I doubt, I don't know if they have, they have the list of the fire hydrants that have the physical address for every single fire hydrant in our system. So they have the exact location of every hydrant I have. So they can find them. So basically, there's a fire hydrant on the corner of Jackson and Washington Street. And I'll have if it's in the middle of the street, it's at like 501 Washington Street or Jackson Street or Elm Street, or it has like a house number. But
Okay.
I can, they
How much is this paint? How much does it cost a gallon?
well, you see, that's the thing. So in the last, and I've run out of time with this stuff too, because I can only allot myself so much time on this. They came up with 3 different proposals, and one day while they came over to my, they want to use us as an advertisement, basically. But they literally came out with 3 different ideas on what to use, what would be the rest for the UV. So it can get very technical. They literally came up with 3 solutions in a matter of 2 hours, and we were working on a 4th because it came down to I only have so much time I can allot the guys to be out there. So,
How much does a paint cost a gallon? I'm asking that. I'm just curious.
that the one that we were working at was like $80.
Yeah, okay. Well, I just painted my roofs. I just had my roofs painted and it was 75 bucks a gallon. And it took about 30 gallons. So really, this is not that big a deal, okay? I don't want to waste a lot of time on this.
Yeah, it's they said that one way they said that it would cover 20 fire hydrants for a gallon. I find that we didn't go with that. I'll bring more information to the table, and I'll have an exact method for you next time.
All right. I do think it's pretty important, because this is emergency equipment, and because we're not the primary utilizer of the emergency equipment. I think.
Yeah, I'll have it approved. Yeah, I'll run it by the fire chief, and then I'll make a decision and then bring it back, and then you guys can decide if it's a good decision or not.
That's fair.
Okay?
All right. Thanks, Chris.
Yep.
All right.
If I have time.
The next item we were going to talk about on our the next thing on our water distribution renovation project is the water tanks on Prospect Avenue. And I think it's given budgetary constraints and kind of where we are on Elks Run, I think it's a bit premature to be moving forward on the tanks.
Well, I brought it up because it's the next thing that needs to be addressed, and I really didn't know how much time it's going to take as far as getting prep work and finding out exactly what this entails, because I mean, this is a big deal. I mean, you're talking about draining a fire, you're talking about draining the tank. You're working on the inside of it, you're welding, there's a lot to this process. They scaffold these things. And I just thought maybe it would be a good idea to find out exactly what we're getting ourselves into.
Well, when was the last time it was done?
We had one repaired, it was about 8 years ago, let's see, Josh was there, so
And I was there.
you were there, so it was about 8 years ago.
And I guess the follow-up question there is, what is the standard maintenance cycle for a water tank? All of ours are.
This one's the oldest. Yeah, this one's the oldest. This is the one that's in worse repair and has the problems that are going to be the sanitary survey said if we don't have it repaired in the next 2 years, where there could be the violations and stuff. So it's a one that's deteriorating the fastest. If you wanted to, we can go up to the hill and you could see exactly.
We're not there yet. Deb.
So on the original plan that we made about the infrastructure project, this tank rehabilitation was planned to get started in this fiscal year FY22. It doesn't mean, because we don't have it in our budget right now, it doesn't mean that we can't move forward with it, but we have got to get Elk Run under our belts and we got to get moving on that. And that's going to have a lot of moving parts with it that y'all are going to get very involved with once we get through the bid package. So, and once we find out and are able to solidify how much that's going to cost, then we can start talking about what do we do after that.
Okay.
We've just got to get one thing done at a time. I mean, if you want to nibble at it and do a little bit of research here and there,
Yeah.
that's we are not in, from a budgetary standpoint, we're just not in a position to start spending that bulk of money until we know what's going on with Elk Run. That's my opinion.
Okay. That's yeah. I just thought I bring it up, and I knew it was really preliminary. So
sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but it is listed on the infrastructure project as the next project.
Right.
So
awesome.
revisit that. It will be the next thing we start working on.
Okay.
Awesome. Okay.
All right. Financials. There was some discussion about what the status of our tariff and deposit adjustments that have been submitted to the town council, which will require amendments to the ordinances.
That is part of our tariff, and it's possible that it may need to go before the ordinance review committee. But there's no reason not to.
Discussion already
start
came
moving
up,
on it.
Barbara.
Pardon?
I thought that discussion already came up and they determined it did not because it was our tariff.
It is our tariff, yeah. So you're right. There's no reason not to move forward. It just mean getting the language change and publishing for 2 weeks, I think, something in the spirit of Jefferson about the tariff having a first and second reading.
Now, do we need to do that, or is that a town council thing?
Town council thing.
Okay.
So-
Because
so
I
you-
believe it was already approved by the town council we just, and we're required by law to do this, so.
We send it up as a recommendation and they're the ones that are now responsible for following all the stuff that needs to be done.
So Deb, you're making a face.
So so are you saying, and my memory is not clear on this, are you saying that the town council actually has already approved moving forward with this? No, okay, so that means it just needs to get on the
Right.
agenda. Well,
Again,
but
it was
the
on their agenda before and then it got
Got-
put aside because of the other stuff.
okay, gotcha. All right, so we just need to get it on the agenda for the 12th and ask to start moving forward with it. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I don't
And
think that
And in
requires,
the past, the Water Commission made sure that the ads and everything in the first and second readings were carried out.
Well, those they would not get carried out though until they get to council, I thought.
Right, it goes to
Right.
council.
okay,
And
That stuff's easy enough to do. Doing a legal ad is a piece of cake. I got that down now.
I swear we at least discussed it at the town council level.
I feel like we did, but I think Christie's right that it got put off.
Yeah, was that a
Boy-
put off to the ordinance?
Boy wanted it delayed and it got delayed.
Okay, all right,
So I'm gonna say that, given that the 4th of July is on a Sunday, and that means that I think the 5th is gonna be when we will have our holiday. And that is 5 days prior to the meeting, that the deadline for submission is probably going to be the 2nd of July. So to be safe, why don't you shoot for the 1st of July, get that in.
No,
I know.
seriously? Are you serious? It's gonna be for the council, it's gonna be the 2nd of July?
with the deadline to submit agenda request?
Submit agenda requests.
Okay, but we have this other thing that's coming up that with the, if we can, I don't know how fast we can move on selecting a consultant, a contractor, I mean.
Okay, well, that's not what we're talking about, is it?
No, but I had anticipated that the deadline was the 5th when I was sending out stuff to everybody about what our schedule would be.
The problem is the holiday.
Yeah, I know, but the holidays on a weekend.
Well,
Oh, that means you guys take your holiday on the Monday following?
The
Yeah.
town, well, it's
Oh,
either-
geez, okay.
that's the holiday observed day.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
well, we might end up having to have special meetings to get this main.
I suspect, I will not be surprised if we need a special meeting for that anyway, so.
Okay, all right, good. Well, we're going to, but I'm just talking about them. Okay.
Okay. Mhm. Review of financials.
Yep, so these, you have April financials, we're working on May right now. These were already sent through council and approved, but you're at 10 months of realized income and expenses, which is about 83% of your year. We discussed at the council level that the money that's in the income side for the grant won't come into play until next year. So when you subtract that $26,000, that drops your income anticipated down to 863, leaving you at about an 80% number. So that's good. We're just a little under by 3%. And you're well in line on your expenses at 63%. So
Wait, can I ask, when you say grant, did you mean loan?
no, I said grant. I'm talking about the grant for the stormwater alert upgrade.
Okay,
The
okay.
upstream, yeah,
Thank you.
Sensor, the new sensor.
this island thing.
Okay,
Oh, it's really, couldn't pull that together in my head fast. But yeah, we're not gonna be, that's a reimbursement grant. And so once we know that we're getting it, then we can start to ask for the money, but that's not gonna happen for a couple months. So it won't play a role in this year, even though it's in there.
okay.
Any other questions on your financials there?
Did everything else look normal? I was having a hard time reading this particular one.
Yeah, I feel like we're in pretty good shape. There's the few that are gonna bump a little bit over by the end of the year, but you're only at 63% on your expenses. It's not gonna be an issue,
Right,
you know.
that's what I
Yeah.
thought. Okay,
Yeah.
thanks.
Okay. All right.
Okay, well, that was easier than expected. All right, discussion and action on distribution renovation project expenses and services required. This includes at least one item of an archaeologist, but there's some other things here too. I can't hear you,
That's
Christie.
distribution that requires the archaeologist, and they're under the amount that would require anything, so.
They're under the amount that require anything?
They're under the amount, but I think we still need to, that's further down under staffing, and we haven't commissioned some there,
I'm confused. what
right?
you're
Or
saying.
not?
No, you requested that we put on the agenda
Right,
discussion and action about the archaeologist.
right.
And so there were other things that we needed to talk about project expenses and.
Oh, okay, I
services
moved down
required.
too fast. Never mind, I moved down too fast. Keep going.
So, do we want to go ahead and deal with the archaeologist, or Deb, we've got some other stuff we need to talk about too.
Well, the archaeologist is easy with it. We're gonna be, we should be going with Heberling.
Paul Haber.
Well, it's Heberling, it's the company.
Paul Haberling.
Yeah, Heberling Associates, Inc. is a company. They're the ones that did the preliminary work with GDNF. Park Service really likes them. They trust them, and everything moves very smoothly if they're used. So
Okay,
that to me says we should use them, and Eckenrode said that their price is about somewhere in the neighborhood of $3,000 a week, and he anticipates we'll probably need them for 1 week.
okay.
And I'm sorry, what did you say it was approximately a week?
Approximately 1 week. It's only when they're actually physically digging the trench.
I
that
see.
We needed, and Eckenrode thinks that can be done in 1 week, and they charge about $3,000 a week.
Okay, all right. All right, we may need to just run that, take it to council just for final approval, but
Right.
It could be an extension of his contract back when we were initiating this project for this very same line movement.
I concur. I think that is part of what we want to present, and that it's a specialty thing, and that the Park Service approves of them. And but we still need to let them know that we are proceeding and spending that money for that. Yeah. So that is probably something that we should also make sure that we include for the meeting on the 12th, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do we need a motion here?
Probably wouldn't hurt.
All right, I move that we recommend the hiring of Heberling Associates, Inc. to do the archaeology work required for the 8-inch main on Park Service property.
For an amount not to exceed $3,000?
No, I would not specify that,
Okay,
because we don't know what it's gonna be.
okay, all right. Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? And trying to think of what else we had. I think that's it for now.
What about a pipeline contractor? Let's see.
It's bid, went to bid today, when the bid offering went out today in the legal ad in the Spirit, and the deadline's the 30th. And then that depends on how quickly we can get the paperwork, but when I found out it's not until, it's gonna be the 2nd that the deadline is for getting it on the council, that makes it kind of problematic for us to go as fast as I was hoping to go.
All right.
You know, Christy, that is going to be the first council meeting of this administration. I think you know, it might not be a bad idea to ask for another council meeting later in the month that just focuses on all this kind of stuff and let these folks get their feet wet.
Right. We're
Yeah.
just up against a little bit of a problem because the Park Service there's a endangered owl in that area. And so we have.
I
to-
know, right?
Has to be done before September.
Or, yeah,
Yeah, so that's just the work with the
Well-
trees.
Bill can put that in his summary to council and
Yep, we can just make a note of that so I'm aware of it, because my brain is a sieve. But I think that and yeah, I think when it comes to the new administration, I think we're going to have to do a fair bit of educating them about what's going on and bringing them up to speed.
I don't think it's as bad as you think, because Laurel is one of the new people. Christian has been on there and he's been really involved in this. Chris
Well, I don't
Craig
think
is up to snuff on it, and he's asked me for it, information on this, and he actually is a quick learner.
Well-
I don't think it's as bad as it looks.
Well, I don't think it's bad. I think it's a great opportunity for us to kind of build a relationship with the people that are going to be signing the checks for us.
Yeah. And
And-
Jim
and-
Jenkins used to be on the Water Commission. Jim
And
Jenkins.
so I do think we're going to have to, it would be good to have a special meeting where we can kind of let them get to know us and what's going on and how we've done so far and what our objectives are and sort of
Yep.
what we
I
bring to
agree.
the table in running this show. And I think that's, it took a little bit for us to get the prior council comfortable with us as a commission and the decisions we were making. And, we had to work at that. And these are new folks. We can start fresh and make them our partner in this project. And I think that that's important. So I kind of look forward to it more as an opportunity than a hindrance, but it's still going to be, we got to make sure that they know what's going on.
One of the things that worked with the previous council, the one that I was started on, was when Chris invited the new members to come down and look at what's going on at the water plant. I don't know if that's day too dangerous to do now, but it might be helpful as well.
no, I don't see a problem with that. If maybe a quick tour.
We can-
Because the construction is actually out on the outside of, so I could show them the plant and keep them in safe area. So.
I do think that's meaningful. I think, the more we can make the new folks feel included in this process, the better our working together on decisions will be. Yeah.
Yeah.
that opportunity to show them Elk Run and where Elk Run's gonna go and all that we're
Yep.
gonna start talking about and how, say, okay, and here's where the pipe goes and it goes up to those tanks on Bolivar Heights, because not everybody has that visual in their mind. So that then when we have this meeting, they have a reference.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
very helpful. When they don't have to imagine it based on what we tell them, but they can actually, associate, that's what the pipe looks like. Brandon did that for me when I first got on the commission. Less than a week after I became a commissioner, I went down, met with him, and he gave me the tour and showed me all the stuff he was angry about. And he walked me down and said, "This is what keeps me up at night." And he showed me the Elks Run, and that's always stuck with me. And I think that would be great. You're a good tour guide, Chris, and that will make them feel part of the team.
Yeah, last time with Nancy Case and them, I took them individually and gave them a personal tour. So I'll do that. I'll give it a little personal touch.
Okay. I don't know that we really we've sort of covered the plant renovation project status and the distribution system renovation. I don't know that we have a viable proposal for a job description, and we're down the primary person that wanted to be on the committee. So I think that's tabled until we have a larger complement of commissioners. One thing that Laurel recommended was, and I forget the name already. Deb? The guy who knows where all the meters are.
Donny Hampshire.
So Laurel is neighbors with Donny Hampshire, and he's an elderly man who was previously an employee of the waterworks, and he had a reputation for knowing where all the meters were, and when they didn't know where the meter was, he had the uncanny ability of locating them even when no one else could. The proposal is that we engage Mr. Hampshire on as a consultant to help us locate meters.
What meters? Doesn't make
Oh,
sense. Meters have-
The only thing is, it took a long time. Well, for me and Brandon to actually locate all the meters, but the meters themselves have been located. Donnie would be more, his specialty would be more in where the water lines are located. Is more because he put them in. He put these water lines in.
So I guess the question is he's not looking to get hired for a job or anything, but it was recommended that Laurel recommended, and since she's not here, that we consider utilizing his expertise on a consultant basis. And
I like that idea.
Before anybody says anything else, Barb, do you think we need to be in executive session?
I think so.
Okay.
You want to move to go into executive session?
Yes, I move that we go into executive session for the provision. I know I've already kind of
Let's see.
unring the bell, but
Yeah.
it's not really an employment thing, but kind of.
No, but you made a point.
Well, I don't, why would we have to go into it unless we're actually talking about hiring one particular person?
Well,
So if we don't give that person's name, we can just sit there and just talk about it.
Yeah,
we've given the name, and
I
we
kind of concur with Barb a little bit, if we can just talk conceptually about what we're trying to accomplish.
Yeah.
I could do
Okay.
that.
We have a resource that can help. We've struggled with. I know that. Did we ever find the Nash Farm meter?
No, that's one of the projects where we're actually, and Donnie could be extremely helpful with that.
a person could be extremely helpful.
Yeah, we're not
Yeah.
talking about just in general. So if we had access to someone who, on a consultant basis,
Sorry about that.
could provide us with historical and helpful information about where things are that we haven't been able to find, issues with pipes, someone that we could call and say, hey, can you come out and go with the guys and show them where this thing is or where this meter is. Would that be helpful to
It's going to be extremely helpful to me when we start doing the infrastructure, when we start going out and start doing the lines that need to be replaced. It will be invaluable. It would be invaluable.
Okay.
Excuse me. So are we talking about things like Henry Clay and Fillmore Street?
Yes.
Street. Okay. So
How about the 8-inch main?
Yeah, all of it.
No,
All-
the 8-inch main going between the treatment plant and the tanks. Would
Would
this
this-
person know?
Would this expertise be useful for the Elks Run project?
Yes.
You know, he very well may know. Yes, he very well
Okay.
may know.
what
Yeah.
is he gonna know? Because we are making a
We already have a drawing. We already have.
place.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's
Yeah.
based on a guess.
Well, we need to line trace it to make sure. I know what Chrissy's talking about. I basically got to get in the Elk Run, attach some wires to the main and trace it. I'm pretty confident I can pinpoint that for you, but as far as Donnie's concerned, and any information that I can get out of Donnie,
Who?
as far as a person, I am so sorry. I'm just such a-
Okay.
but as far as having somebody come in and helping with that, most definitely. It's somebody that has knowledge of where things used to be. Yeah, the more the merrier.
Well, my thought was, and Laurel's thought was that with this this particular depth of knowledge, if we could do this on a consultant basis, it would be cheaper for us rather than expending the human capital of the guys running around, you know, for a couple hours or whatever, trying to do something. If we had somebody with that knowledge, you know,
Yeah,
a consulting fee would be less expensive than the time it would take for folks to hunt it down. Yeah.
well, the guys know where the meters are. That's
Okay.
not the issue. The mains and doing the future infrastructure project would be extremely helpful.
Yeah.
That's the
Chris,
part that would be invaluable.
Deb's got her hand up.
Okay, so I feel like we're trying to purchase something. And I don't think we really know what we want to purchase. And so I feel that we should be looking at quantifying what that is. What are we trying to accomplish with this? When would we want to utilize a person with this expertise? Why would we want to utilize them? And then I think we need to be looking at incorporating a budget for that into our budget, and we'll have to present it to town council. And
I think we'd have to see if that person is actually interested.
and also that piece that could be perhaps explored, or if there maybe were other people who might have those talents. But I
Right.
feel like we're a little bit premature, but it's a good idea, but we have to develop this idea. So maybe that could come forward in the next meeting.
Yeah, I'm very excited about that.
Okay.
That would be extremely helpful on things like you said, Henry Clay, and extremely helpful with find. He knows where the weak spots are, as to speak.
But
So
I agree with Deb. We need to solidify what it is, what our need is, and how we propose to utilize this expertise. So Chris, I guess you and I can nail that down as far
Sure.
as the things that we would want to use this expertise for, you know, so that we can streamline it and know what our ask is. I apologize for this being premature. The person who would have talked about this is not here. So I was not exactly prepared to present, but at least in spirit, I understand what we're trying to do here. And then I'll connect with Laurel and we can talk about, we see what kind of an approach to an individual, if we decide to do that, would look like.
I know this person too, very well. So just so you know.
Okay. But it seemed like kind of a win-win if we got our end organized the right way.
yeah, this is definitely a positive in the right direction. And yeah, you just, my mind just went 1,000. Yes,
We
very,
will-
very, very good idea. Very
So
good.
make me a list, Chris. Make me a list of what you want.
I will. I most definitely will.
Okay. With that, I have no further new business. We will table that discussion until we have a little more clarity as to what we want, how we'll go about it. Is there any public comment?
I don't see any public comment.
How How about the pressed into service minute taker?
All right, doesn't have any, do you have anything you want to say?
No, it's, well, it has been a pleasure to work with you, and I'm honored to do this.
Do we have any?
Will I ever do it again?
Time?
No, but
We are immensely grateful, Robert.
Do we have,
Thanks, Robert.
do we have any report or comment from Colin Stein? Was he in our meeting room?
No, he didn't attend. I did send the invitation, but he did not join in.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Do I hear a motion to
I
adjourn?
move that we adjourn.
I second.
Yay.
All those in favor? All right.
All right,
Thanks, everybody.
thank you.
Oh, good. Never mind. We'll talk about it later.
There's been some public reporting about our Safe Water Harpers Ferry in the Martinsburg Journal and on Harper's and on the Hagerstown TV station and possibly in this week's Spirit of Jefferson.
Oh,
Great.
and the nomination thing, did everybody receive that?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I did submit I did a press release for the mayor on the drinking water month. That went out. And so
Awesome.
I didn't see it but I don't read any of the local papers, so I have no idea. But so that may show up at some point too.
Awesome.
All right,
Good night, everybody.
good night.
Good night.